So your assignment involves two exercises. Exercise one, you're going to copy the code that I've given you, and then you are going to create six uh, overloaded operator methods. You're going to do plus plus and minus minus, less than and greater than, and then you're going to do the addition and subtraction. Um, and you'll notice that the addition and subtraction are binary because you will have a value on the left of the plus side and a value on the right. So you have two values. That makes it binary. And then if you go through the code, there are comments where you need to insert the code that is going to invoke those overloaded operators. So for the plus plus and the minus minus, this is the area that you will be using those two methods. And I have copied and pasted this. Let me see. I've got it here. And so I just want to point out that it is really important when you are using the overloaded operator methods that you do not access the properties, because the purpose of the methods is to make your code read like the objects are being added together, or in this case, we are adding one to the object. Okay, so we don't want to say numbers, index in with whatever number dot number, because number is the property in this class. We don't want to access the property. Okay? We want to manipulate the object itself. Where we access the property is in the method. And in the lecture demo, there is a calculator example that is similar. It's not identical, so you don't think you can just copy everything and paste it, but it's very similar to what you need to do. And so here is the example that is similar. And all of these overloaded operator methods have to return an object. Okay, so in this case, we have the object with two plus signs. So that'll come in here. And we're calling it OBJ. And it doesn't really matter which way you add. You do not need a write line, but you do need to return it. Okay, so operator minus minus will be similar. And then the code to execute the minus minus, the decrement, is something like that. And then if you scroll on down a little further, you'll see insert a for loop that adds num to add to numbers. So numbers is our array of objects, okay? And if you look up here, here is a for loop that iterates through that array. So you can literally copy that part of the loop, okay? And you can paste that here. Throw in your closing brace. And then this is supposed to look like you are doing arithmetic on the object. Okay. And so it's literally going to be, numbers indexing in plus equal num to add. Num to add is another object that's created here. And then we put a random number into the number property. Now, we do not want to put dot numbers in here, because if you do that, you're going to get it wrong, because the whole point is for you to be using these overloaded methods that make it look like you are performing arithmetic on the object. Okay, so we want to use the object without the properties. Okay, and so this is going to trigger operator plus. And operator plus is going to look, there's a couple different ways you can code it, but this technique over here, if I can get this out of the way, you could use this technique, or you could do it like we did in the trip. And the trip example actually does use a plus equal. Right? And so you could also code it something like that. Okay? Either way, that would be acceptable for operator plus, and then operator minus is going to be pretty much the exact, it's going to be a duplicate of this, changing your operator from plus to minus, uh, up here in the method name and then in your code. Okay, so that is how you would do the plus and the minus. You have the for loop that adds the number. And then down here, you will do a very similar for loop that subtracts a number. So here is num to subtract, which is an object. Here is where we are putting a random value in. And then you're going to iterate through that loop and subtract out the number. And then down here is where we're going to be using greater than and less than. And you're going to be putting that into a nested if else, which is explained here. And I believe we have a less than and a greater than here. So yours is going to be very similar. And then here is where it's used. So you are going to be using it a little bit differently. But remember, this over here is what is triggering the method. Okay, it's the object greater than the other object. Okay, that is what triggers that method. Okay. This displays the property, but it's not going to trigger the method. This is how we trigger the method. Okay, so that is exercise 1. Exercise 2, you are going to create your own. And your own cannot be a calculator. We've been there and done that. So no calculator. You can't do a box and you can't do a trip because those are in the lecture. But other than that, you can do whatever kind of class you want. Okay. And what you need is a unary overloaded operator. So plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, not any of those. You have to do a comparison overloaded operator. And remember, you do those kind of in pairs. And then you're going to do a binary overloaded operator. And your choice what you do. Your main method should create at least 2 objects. And then you need to use those your different overloaded operators and display the results. Right. And I think the example that I actually coded up here is a workout class. Okay, so I kind of did enough properties where I could, get some stats because you have to have at least one numeric property. Otherwise, you can't do any kind of arithmetic. Okay, but you can see I overloaded plus plus. Here I did operator plus, and then I did greater than and less than. Okay, so that's just an example of how I implemented this. But you guys can literally do whatever you want. It's totally up to you. I will actually link this example into our assignment here so you can take a closer look. But you guys can literally do whatever you want. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions.